Oh my, liberals are absolutely panicking today over the latest hospitalization of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's right. You know, ultra-leftists like Michael Moore sitting, rocking back and forth in a corner, you know, just sucking their thumbs and just smacking their hands against their heads, trying to convince themselves that everything's going to be all right. Really, everything's fine. We're going to take a look at the latest hospital scare for the 87-year-old Supreme Court Justice and why, in many respects, it's already too late. President Trump has indeed already shifted the court to the conservative right for the next generation. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Super happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. If you are looking for a daily white pill of encouragement to help you counter all the ridiculous fake news that's out there from the corporatist globalist media, you have found your oasis with this channel. We analyze current events and live some super awesome conservative trends so that you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where you get to interact with a network of conservatives from all over the world each and every day. So let's start off with our video chat question for the day. Do you believe that Ruth Bader Ginsburg will vacate her seat on the Supreme Court before the 2020 election? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe that Ruth Bader Ginsburg will vacate her seat in the Supreme Court before the 2020 election? Make sure to comment down below because, you know, I'll tell you, a lot of people are starting to ask that question, especially left-wing liberals all across the country. They're absolutely panicked that the day of Supreme Court reckoning is upon them and that the Trump train is ready to transform the judiciary into a conservative monolith for the next generations. Now, before we get into it, before we do anything else, make sure you click on the link below and check out the awesome video we put together just for you featuring our brand new Turley Talks Insiders Club. We are so thankful to those of you who have already signed up, and you're going to love being a part of a massive group of conservatives from all over the world to network with. Now, by becoming a member, you'll get more exclusive access to me and our journey together into this new conservative age that we're embarking on. Each week, you get a special deep dive video reserved solely for our Insiders members. You'll get access to our private Facebook group that features conservatives from all over the world that you get to network with. And you'll get my monthly reading list to keep you updated on the best and most enriching information that's out there. You get a number of bonus videos, and you even get some awesome accessories, some swag, like our Turley Talks tumbler to drink your coffee in or whatever your beverage of choice happens to be, all for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. So don't wait. Make sure to click on that link below. Watch the video on the Turley Talks Insiders Club to get a fuller sense of what you'll be a part of. This offer to join for such a low price is for a limited time only. So don't wait. Click on the link. It'll be a privilege to journey with you into this new conservative age together. All right, gang, let's have some fun. Let's dive right in here. Ultra-leftist Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been hospitalized again, this time for an infection. The 87-year-old liberal icon underwent non-surgical treatment at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore on Tuesday for an inflammation of the gallbladder. Her spokesperson said that she's resting comfortably and will be participating in oral arguments this morning, Wednesday morning, from her hospital room where she expects to remain for the next few days. Now, this hospitalization comes on the heels of another hospitalization just a few months back, same hospital, Johns Hopkins, after suffering from a fever. Prior to that, Ginsburg also had surgery for lung cancer and received treatment for pancreatic cancer in the past year. When it came to that latest hospitalization, the one a few months back, up until that point, she had a perfect attendance record for 25 straight years of court proceedings, but suddenly that came to an end. She was too sick to attend. So we began to see some clear degeneration when it came to her health that was preventing her from fulfilling her duties as a Supreme Court justice. So this hospitalization that was just announced last night is but the latest in a whole host of health concerns that have ravaged Ginsburg of late. I believe she's had 4 separate bouts of cancer at this point. So any hospitalization is, of course, very, very serious, being 87 years old and all. Now, needless to say, leftist liberals they're utterly panicked. I mean, they're panicked. They've actually been writing articles on this topic, if you can believe it. There have been a number of articles written on why leftist liberals freak out every single time Ginsburg ends up in the hospital, which is clearly increasing in terms of its frequency. And you have to wonder the extent to which such articles are frankly therapeutic for the cultural Marxist media, you know? I mean, they're writing these articles largely because, well, frankly, they're panicking, right? The article helps leftist media types cope with the possibility of losing Ginsburg. In fact, leftist activists disguised as journalists already talking about 2020 being the year that Ruth Bader Ginsburg finally does step down, or frankly, demises, right? Whichever. Either way, it is panic time for left-wing liberals. And what's so pathetically interesting here, as the New York Times is reporting, is that we're already seeing left-wing activists demanding that Mitch McConnell, right, the Republican Senate Majority Leader, they're absolutely demanding that he abide by his own standards that he imposed on Barack Obama when he blocked his Supreme Court nomination of Merrick Garland during an impeachment year, right? If you remember, Antonin Scalia died in February 2016, and Obama nominated this absolute disaster to the Supreme Court, this guy Merrick Garland. And McConnell was like, you know, forget it. We're going to let the next president decide. You're not. And of course, all the liberals just were up in arms. They're all huffy and puffy. But to his credit, you know, Mitch McConnell held his ground. He said, sorry, the Senate is in charge of confirming judges, and we are not accepting any nominees from Barack Obama at this time. Thank you very much. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know this, but this is precisely why President Trump has been able to nominate and get approved so many awesome judges thus far. Over 190 federal judges have been approved by the Republican Senate, far more than any president in recent memory. Trump is absolutely transforming the judiciary in ways that will impact the courts for at least a generation. It's absolutely amazing. So now these left-wingers are all panicked about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and they're coming out and they're screaming at McConnell, you better be consistent. You know, you better apply the same judicial standard for 2020. They're that concerned that Ginsburg will not last the entire year. So you better be consistent here, McConnell. And of course, during this whole impeachment year, of course, McConnell's just smiling and saying, yeah, sure, we'll be just as consistent as you left-wing liberals have been, which of course is making liberals panic even more. Now, obviously, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's days on the Supreme Court are indeed numbered. And that's precisely why we're seeing leftist liberals like Michael Moore just beginning to panic here every time she ends up in the hospital. Stephen Colbert, the CBS Late Show's ratings are tanking, is setting new standards of absurdity in his own bout with Trump derangement syndrome over Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And this is all, of course, because of what Ginsburg represents for leftist liberals. She is indeed an icon. That's all we hear from the corporatist globalist media, the mainstream Marxist media. Ginsburg is this great and grand and holy and sacred icon for all things progressive. But I would argue that she represents something far more than that. I think Ginsburg represents, in many respects, the last stand for liberalism. Ginsburg is an icon for the last refuge of leftist globalism. And in that sense, she's an icon of what remains of liberalism's dwindling hopes and aspirations. They know that when Ginsburg's seat falls, it really is over for the left-wing political agenda for at least the next generation when it comes to the courts. When the left-wing diehards see that as only setting them back. But as we talk about on this channel every day, it's all too little too late. They've already lost. Whether leftists realize it or not, the conservative dominance over the courts has already begun. Brett Kavanaugh is the fifth and decisive conservative vote on the Supreme Court. Now, I know Justice Roberts waffles here and there. I know he's very frustrating. But overall, his record is pretty consistently conservative on the court. But there is no question that a sixth conservative would solidify a staunchly constructionist, constitutional conservative court. And that's already being achieved. Trump's not only flipped the Supreme Court to a 5 versus 4 conservative majority, but he's transforming the whole of the federal judiciary by appointing more judges than any of his predecessors by far. And as part of this conservative overhaul of the federal court system, Trump has even transformed the infamously ridiculous Ninth Circuit Court, right, which liberals are having a hissy fit over. According to the LA Times, President Trump has just effectively tilted the court to the right for years to come. Trump has named 10 judges to the Ninth Circuit, which represents more than a third of its active judges compared to the 7 Obama appointed over his entire 8-year tenure. And so even judicial scholars are saying quite openly, President Trump has in fact effectively flipped the circuit, as it were. And we already seem to be seeing the fruits of that. We're already seeing the Ninth Circuit Court, which used to be called the Ninth Circus, begin to rule sanely again. You may have heard that they just upheld Trump's abortion rules, which he set in place to ban the use of taxpayer money for abortion clinics. This overturned a number of previous rulings that said that the president couldn't do that. So it appears we're already seeing the fruit of this conservative revolution in our court system. It really is just astonishing. So we'll, of course, keep our eyes on how things develop with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but make no mistake, she is an icon, not of the triumph of the cultural left, but rather of its inevitable and inexorable demise. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video on how the mainstream Marxist media has been utterly humiliated with President Trump's soaring poll numbers. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.